Hello, everybody. Welcome to part 2 webinar. It's been a little while since the part 1 on this. I hope you're all doing well. We're going to give it just a couple more minutes to see how many people sort of trickle in. But if you could just pop up in the chat and just say hello if you can, just to let us know you can hear us, and we'll get started soon. Well, it's just coming up to 5 past, so I think we'll all get started. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this second part webinar. The first part was some months ago. Appreciate you coming back to hear the second part. We're going to be looking today at the second part of the CAD Plan Design. So we went through various features and functions of the CAD Plan Design last time, but we weren't able to demonstrate all of those. So today we'll be looking at various information to do with grouping of layers and how we can make various things visible and non-visible. We'll take a look at the electrical design tools and what we do specifically with things like cables and various symbols. We're going to look at the multi-lines as well and how we can use multi-lines to facilitate similarities with trunking systems. We're going to take a look at the architecture tools and the usefulness around those architecture tools for highlighting things like fire zones within the drawings. We're going to take a bit of a delve into symbol creation, how you can create your own symbols, how to import them from existing CAD files. So if you have your own blocks already built in existing CAD programs, you can bring those into the CAD Plan Design. We're going to take a look at filtering options. So we have various options that allow us to look at filtering various symbols and parts of the software, so we can make quick, easy decisions in there. We'll also then look at the reference of electrical elements within the CAD plan symbols. So what this allows us to do is reference particular elements and parts, so we can then produce a bill of list of materials and list of materials report later on. We'll showcase the 3D view. I think we briefly touched upon this before in the last webinar, but we're going to show a little bit more in there on how we're working, how we're moving around in that area. And then we're going to show things like the legends and cable schedules. The cable schedules being quite a new item that one of the recent updates within the software. So hopefully that'll be useful to many of you who are using this element. And then finally, we're going to take a look at how we can do printouts and print out into various different formats within the software. Today is a bit of a change from the previous webinars. Today we have Pambos, who will be doing delivering the content in terms of the use of the software. So I'd like to introduce you all today to Pambos. You can say hello, please.
Hello, everyone.
And I'll leave it to Pambos shortly to tell you a little bit about himself before we get started. But once we go through this, I want to just talk a little bit also about the future webinars. Oh, apologies, seem to have jumped a little bit ahead there. Our next webinar, we're going to be looking at some of the new features and updates that we've put out, particularly in recent months in 2020. So that'll be one of the next webinars. And then in the future, we'll be taking a look at various systems like the Revit. We've got a number of other ones that we've been talking about previously, but we will be really interested in hearing your feedback. So if you do have any feedback today and you want to pop it in the chat and things that you would like to see in the future webinars for those of you using the software, then please let us know. We'll be more than happy to showcase those particular functions and features. If you do have any questions or queries about things that are happening within the demo as we're going along, you open up the question and answer section at the bottom, should be at the bottom of your screen next to the chat. You'll be able to ask any questions, and during the demonstration I'll be answering them as we go along. If there's any questions that I think we're going to cover in there, I'll let you know, and I'll also prompt Pambos to show various features and functions as you request them as we're going through, if it's along the lines of what we're doing in the webinar. But with that then, I shall hand you over to Pambos so he can introduce himself and get started with the webinar. And thank you very much, and see you on the side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Spencer. Hello, everyone, again. Let me just start sharing my screen as well. So before I begin, I would like to express a very warm welcome to all our viewers. I hope everyone is safe and well this difficult period we all pass. As already Spencer explained, it's been a while since we did our last webinar, so we thought it would be a good time now to start doing them again, to keep ourselves busy and improve our knowledge. To begin with today's webinar, as Spencer already explained, this webinar builds upon the previous one where we covered some of the basic functionality of the CAD Plan Design Add-On. In this webinar, we will try to go into more detail about the CAD Plan design by focusing on the more advanced features. Of course, for those who missed the previous webinar, you can always visit our YouTube channel where you can find them there. Therefore, before we dive into more detail about the CAD plan, let me just give you a brief introduction of the environment. So we can access it from here. As you can see, is a basic CAD environment where you can find familiar tools and commands. People with basic CAD software knowledge, I believe, can transition to this environment from day zero. As you can see from the left toolbar, we can find tools where we can manage external references. We can export into DWG format. We can create printouts. We can view our drawings in 3D modes and so on. From the top toolbar, we can find familiar tools and commands where we can edit our drawings. From the right toolbar, we can enable and disable snap points and so on. And from the bottom side, we can see our symbols library where we have different sections of different symbols. Of course, you can create and use your own symbols if you want. You can import your symbols you are already using. Also, from the right-hand side, we can find some more relevant tabs where we can find the Pages tab, where we can create the layers of our drawings. We can create page frames. From the Design tab, we can use different design tools for our drawings and also link our symbols with actual electrical diagrams. In addition, from the Properties tab, we can edit the properties of any selected symbols. And from the circuit groups, we can manage individual circuits through our drawing plans. Okay, now let's start with our example. I'm going back to the pages where I'm going to start creating the structure of our layers. In the previous webinar, we managed to cover some of the basic functionality of this area here, where we created some simple structure of layers. In this webinar, we are going into more detail about how this works, and we are going to create some group of layers. So to begin, I'm going to name the first layer, which is the floor layer, as a house plan. We are going to model a simple electrical installation and domestic electrical installation. So I'm calling this as a house plan, and then I will create some sub-layers with different groups. The next one, I'm going to call it architecture drawings, where we are going to place our drawings here. This one, I'm going to call it the ground floor. First floor. And roof. Okay, next I'm going to define some electrical layers. So I'm creating another group of layers. I'm going to call this one electrical drawings. And place some sub layers within it. The first one will be ground floor. We're going to have some sub-layers within it, small power and systems, and lighting and fire alarms. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this one using the right click. I can, let me just create another one from the electrical drawing as well. And I can copy and paste this one from here and paste it under the floor plan. I can change its name, or I can leave it as it is. In this case, we want to keep the same name. And also we can copy and paste previous one and paste it under the floor plan as well. Next, I'm going to create some other group of layers. I'm going to call this one fire alarm zones. And also create some sub-layers within it. I'm going to name this one ground plan. And another one for the floor plan as well. And our last layer group will be cable trays. Similarly, we're going to copy and paste from the previous one. So as you can see now, I created the structure of our layers. And now I'm going to start inserting some existing DWG drawings inside the architectural drawing groups. So I'm going to select the ground floor first. And from the new XREF, I'm going to select from my desktop to insert the ground floor layer inside the ground floor as an external reference. Next, I'm going to insert the first floor as well. In addition, now I managed to insert two external references. If I want to place them on top of each other, let's say to be at the same location, I can use the group layers, which this is the importance of this webinar today. And let's say by selecting this, I would like to select from the ground floor to be visible within the first floor. By doing this, I can see where is the ground floor located, and I can select the first floor, use the move command, and place it on top of the ground floor. So I make sure that everyone is on top of each other. This will be more relevant as we create page frames later on. Now I don't want to see the ground floor, so I go back to the group layers and I deselect it. Moving to the roof plan, I can do the same as well. I can import the roof plan, and I want to see the first floor in order to properly position my roof plan. So I'm using the move command. I can place it properly on my drawings. And again, I deselect the first floor from here. Now I managed to import the drawings, the external drawings in our project. And the next thing is to create the proper group of layers. So I want to enable what we can see. So I'm selecting the different groups of layers I created. And from the group layers option here, I enable what I can see from here in order to make this useful for us. So for the small power and systems, I would like to see the upstream layer, the ground floor, where we are going to place our distribution board. And I would like to see also the ground floor from the architectural drawings where we have our ground floor plan there. I can do the same for the lighting and fire alarm as well. So very quickly, I'm just navigating through the different layers. I will do the same for the fire alarm zones as well. In this case, we only need to see the ground floor for the ground plan, and the first floor for the floor plan, and like so for the cable trays. So we now managed to create layer groups. Now, as you can see, as I move to different layers, I can see the appropriate drawing. As I change from the first floor, you can see how this changes. I changed it from the first floor to the ground floor. So now I'm going to the ground floor and I will start placing some symbols within my drawing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place some, the main distribution board and the meter. To do this, I move to the ground floor here. And from the symbol, from my symbols library, I can select any symbol and I just drag it through, through my window. Notice as I move close to any wall, my symbol aligns with the orientation of the wall, so we don't have to select the rotate function to properly place our symbols. This is a useful functionality in terms of productivity. In addition, I'm going to place the main meter of this electrical installation. And also, I would like to place an earthing symbol to denote the main earthing terminal of this electrical installation. Also, I can select the different symbols and change their colors. So now we managed to create, to place some symbols through our drawings. We place the main distribution board of this electrical installation and a meter. If I move to the small power and systems layer, which is under the ground floor layer of the electrical drawings, because I enable this from the options here, from the group of layers, I enable to see the ground floor from the electrical drawings and also from the architectural drawings. I can see what I did from the ground floor here, although I cannot select them. So this is very useful because as we change through different layers, we will see the one we selected. So if I go to the lighting as well, I can see the same information. Before we move on and start placing some other symbols to our different layers, we would like to assign these electrical symbols to actual electrical drawings. So we have to move back to our schematic. And from the templates here, I can copy and paste in my schematics window an electrical diagram, which I already created and saved as a template. As you can see, I managed to place the electrical diagram from the templates. I'm not going to explain in more detail the cabling and the protective devices that this electrical diagram includes. We are just going to use it for our demonstration in order to link the symbols with these final circuits of this distribution board. Although you can go back in our previous webinar and see how we can manage to create different elements through the schematic window. And also you can see through our YouTube channel how we can create templates as well. So what I would like to stress out here is that we are using a simple consumer unit. So, and what basically includes, it includes some sockets, lighting, and fixed final circuits, which we are going to assign in our symbols. So now you can see the same information on the tree network view as well. So going back to our CAD Plan Design, I'm going to select this main distribution board from our tree network view and select also this main DB, this distribution symbol from our drawings, go to design, and from the reference from circuits, I can link this symbol with the actual electrical diagram by pressing assign symbols. And also we can see the prefix of this distribution board as well. So now I'm going to define some socket elements and some data points. I'm going to the small power and systems layer. To begin with, I'm going to select from the library here an appropriate socket symbol which suits my needs. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to start dragging and dropping it through our drawing. As you can see, by having this symbol selected, the symbols property tabs becomes available where we can specify the elevation of this socket element, and also we can define some other parameters. We can leave it as it is for now, and as we move on, we will show you how this becomes relevant to as we move on. So now I'm going to randomly place some sockets. I can change the orientation of the socket using the spacebar from my keyboard, as you can see. Now I place these socket elements in our drawing, and each of these sockets has an elevation of 40 centimeters from the ground floor. Although I managed to place also some sockets above the benches of the kitchen, and I would like to change the elevation of these sockets in order to match our design. We can do this by double clicking on each element, and we can access some quick properties of the symbol. I can change the 40 centimeters to 1.4 meters and apply the changes. Also, we can select multiple symbols and go to the properties tab. And from the properties tab, we can move to the elevation point and change it from here as well. So now I'm going to start placing the wiring of these sockets, going back to the design. And I'm going to assume that I'm using single core cables within conduit installed in the ground and boards. So I'm going to use the wire by selection option. And because we are using ring socket elements, we are going to start from the main distribution board, and from the last socket, again, return back to the distribution board. So I'm selecting firstly the distribution board and continue selecting our sockets we have in our drawings. So you see how easily the wiring of the sockets is placed in our network. And in addition, I'm closing the ring. So now we managed to place the wiring of the sockets. Now I would like to assign this circuit to an actual circuit that we have on the tree network view. We would like to assign it to S1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the sockets, right click and select similar. And I'm going to the reference from circuits tab as we did before with the distribution board and select the link and assign it to symbols. I can do the same thing with the wiring as well. Select the wiring, select similar. Let me properly select it. Yeah. Notice by selecting and applying this information, the software calculated for us the length of the cabling and also the number of the points and assigned it to our electrical diagram as well. So if I just double click on this final circuit here, we can see that the length that was measured from our drawings is placed in the circuit editor of our electrical network, and also the number of points has changed from 1 to 9 as well. So this, by linking both them together, we can exchange information. This can help us to create more accurate results and improve our productivity without wasting time to measuring the number of points and the length of our cabling. In addition, we can visualize what we did here using the 3D view mode here. So by selecting this, you can see here let's give it a moment, how we managed to create these ring sockets, final circuit. So you can see here that these two that are placed above the benches are installed in a higher elevation from the other. This is a good way in order to visualize our electrical network. In addition, perhaps we would like not to see the wiring of these socket elements because the prefix we use in front of them denotes that they are connected all together. What we can do here is we can select this cable here, right click and select similar with options, same circuit. We can select this all together, go to the properties tab and select from the print option, no. And from the filter symbols here, we can select to view only the printed only. So we can use this filtering list here in order to properly control what we can see in our drawings. Next, I'm going to start inserting some other final circuits. In addition, before I move on, I would like also to change the colors of these sockets. So I'm just selecting that again, using the select similar with options, same circuit, and going to the color options and make them blue, which is more common for sockets. I can move the prefixes as I want, and I can do the same thing using the properties from the options here as well. Now I'm going to install a fire alarm control panel next to our distribution board here. So if I go to the fire alarm list here, I can select an appropriate symbol for this one. Perhaps we don't have the control panel and we would like to create one. Let me just illustrate how we can do that. We can create a symbol also from the drawing window as well. I'm just creating a rectangle based on the size of our distribution board we used. I can write some text as well. I'm gonna call it fire alarm control panel. can double click on it, change its size, and apply. What I can do here is I can select this symbol I created in my drawing and come to my symbols library and right click and select create new from figure selection. By doing this, I can create any symbol selected from my drawings. So I'm going to define it here. Fire. And I can also place a description for the legend as well here. I can select some default parameters here. The elevation point of the elevation of this symbol, would like to place it at 1.4 meters. We would like to have a snap on the wall, and also the elevation for the wiring should be 0, and apply any changes. So now, as you can see from our symbols library, we managed to create a new symbol from the drawing we did within our drawings. In addition, you can perform the same function by right-clicking in the symbols library and select create new, or you can select an already existed symbol and select create new from symbol selection, or you can select insert symbol from file. Perhaps you have other blocks you are using in other CAD software. You can import them from this here. So now I'm going to drag and drop this symbol we just created in my drawings. Also, I'm going to place some double pulse switch that I'm going to control this final circuit, and I'm going to assign these symbols to the fire alarm control circuit we have from our tree network view here to P1. By selecting them both and going to the reference from circuit, can select the link property again and assign them as we did with the previous ones, and apply the changes. Also, I'm going to select the wire by selection and place a wiring for these symbols as well. For this case, I want only to illustrate the wire connecting the double pulse switch with the fire alarm control panel. I don't want to see the wire connecting the distribution board with this double pulse switch. So I'm selecting this wire again. I'm going to apply the changes first. And from the properties tab here, I'm going to make it not printed as well. And from here, I can change, by selecting them both together, I can change their color as well. In addition, by double clicking on this symbol, I can change the elevation of this symbol as well. Perhaps we want to make it 1 meter. And if we go back to the design, we can apply the new changes as well. Next, I'm going to install a boiler for using the other final circuits tab, where we have a fixed device symbol, which denotes any fixed device. In addition, perhaps we would like to increase the size of this symbol to denote that we have something larger than this symbol here. Again, by selecting it and going back to the properties tab, we can adjust the scale options here. From 1, I'm going to make it 1.5. And place it appropriately. And also I'm going to place an isolator for this one. By selecting them both together again, I can properly link them to our water heater circuit here we have from our electrical diagram and link them together, apply the changes. However, now I apply the changes for these two elements, and as you can see from our tree network view, it indicates that we have connected two different elements on this final circuit. Although I want only to measure only one element, because the isolator here is going to control this fixed load. So what we can do is we can double click here, and from the final circuit points, we can change the number from 1 to 0 and apply this and apply it back. So as you can see, this changes automatically. In addition, I don't want to see both prefixes, so I'm selecting the isolator, going to the properties and select no from the prefix. And I'm going to place some wiring as well. So from main DIMB to the isolator and to the boiler. And again, I will make this not printed and change the color of these symbols as well. Okay, now we managed to create some final circuits. We placed some socket elements and some fixed final circuits as well. And if we go to the 3D view, we can visualize this based on the elevations we selected for the wiring and the symbols. So I assume you get the main idea how this works. Because of the time limitation, I'm going to skip. Yes?
Just quickly before we move on from this area, we did have a question from one of the attendees about they would like to be able to set the cables through locations where joists are. So would you mind just showing them quickly how to wire using a standard line?
Yeah, I was going to show this on the lighting and fire alarms layers. So perhaps we can move on to the next layer and show how we can achieve this.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Before, just bear with us, and we'll try to illustrate this. Before we start placing some lighting points, I am assuming for this case that we have a ceiling void, and our cabling will be installed on a cable tray. So I'm going to the cable trays layers here to create a cable tray. From these multi-line styles, I can select the size of my multi-line, which will denote a cable tray. In this case, I'm going to select a 30 centimeters cable tray, select current and apply changes. And also I'm going to select and draw multi-line. And from here, I will start placing my cable tray through the ceiling void. The importance of this is not just to place this multi-line to denote a cable tray. We can place this information and going back to the design, and from the insert legends and cable schedules, we can select multi-lines. And what the software does for us is it can measure the length of this cable tray we just created. So now it tells us that we have placed a 27.72 meters cable tray, which I assume this is important in terms of measuring quantities. Next, I'm going to lighting and fire alarm and start placing some lighting points where the cabling of these lighting points will be installed on this cable tray. So what we want to do here is we want to use the group layers as we did before, and select the ground plan from the cable trays to be visible here in order to properly place our wiring. So Now we can see the cable tray we just created, and I'm going to start placing some lighting points. So I'm going to the lighting section of from our symbols, and following the same procedure as before, I'm going to drag and drop different symbols in our drawings. By selecting this one, notice that I can change the elevation of this symbol before I place it. I would like to make it 2.7 because I assume that at 3 meters, the cable tray is installed, and select this location here. In addition, I have the option to create arrays of different symbols. So I'm going to select, in this case, the spotlight symbol here. And from the array tab, let me just go to design. And from the electrical design tools, I can select draw symbol arrays. I can define the array, the elevation of the symbols as well. Apply it. And also I can select to wire the symbols as I insert them as well. And I'm going to select also the elevation of the wiring. And I'm going to start inserting them here. Although perhaps, let's say we don't want to use some of the lighting points, we can just select them and delete those that we don't need. Also, we can do the same for this wiring, and I can and select this one that I want and move them properly to the location I want. In addition, I'm going to do the same for this area here using a 2x2 array. Again, I'm going to select the elevation, 2.7. Following the same procedure as well for this area here, for the sitting area. So I'm going to place the elevation. So you get the main idea how you can define quickly different symbols through our drawing. And also we can place them as we did before manually by dragging and dropping one at a time. So now we would like also to include some switches and start placing the wiring for these lighting points. Before we move on, I just want to make sure that these symbols are on the proper elevation. So I'm just correcting it to 2.7. And I'm just quickly, I will just quickly start placing some switches. We can see from the list that we have a single pole, one-way switch, and also we can use a two-way switch as well. For this case, in order to keep the things simple, we are going to use a single pole one-way switch because of the limitation of the time we have. So I'm just dragging and dropping these symbols in our drawings and placing some of them at appropriate locations where we can control our lighting points. So now we would like to place the wiring of these symbols. I'm going to then draw wiring where we can manually select the direction of this cabling. So we also can select the elevation here we can leave it as 3 meters because we want this wiring to be installed on the cable tray we already defined. And I'm just selecting the main DIN-B and start drawing lines. Although I don't want to use curved lines here, so I'm going to deselect this option now. And as you can see, I can define exactly how this wiring is going to be installed. So now we place this on this switch. Also would like from this switch to go back to this switch here, which will control these lighting points here as well. And in addition, from this switch, we can daisy chain back to the other switches we have in this area here. And from this one, we can go back to this one as well, which we consider that controls mainly these 3 lighting points, which we are going to connect them together using the wire by selection for this case, 2.7 meters. So, and also we can double click and change whether it will be a curve or not, the wiring as well. So in this case, we managed to create some simple wiring for our lighting points. And let's say we would like to visualize it to see what we did. We go back again to this 3D mode. And as we can see, we have one point here which is unconnected. And you can see how the wiring is placed in our electrical drawings as well. So I'm going to exit now and try to wire this again properly from here. I'm going back here and again from here. I want to go back to this lighting point as well. I can control the elevation by double clicking and fixing it properly. Okay, now because we have only one circuit for this final, for these lighting points, we can just select them all together and going to our tree network view, we can select this L2 final circuit we already include in our electrical diagram and assign it to these lighting points using the reference from circuits and apply the changes. And as you can see again, it measures the number of points and the length of the cabling. Another thing that I would like to show you in this, for this particular case now is the circuit groups here, where by selecting this one, we can visualize the number of points and the length of the cables, different sections of cables that is included for this particular final circuit here. So we can select individual symbols and zoom close to them and also see some different cables, different sections of the cables, because here we have some parallel connections, and for our calculations, we would like to take into account only the furthest point in terms of the voltage drop. We would like to deselect some cabling that is not relevant to our calculations. So for instance, in this case, we don't want to use this cable here, and also this one here, because we consider that we are going from this switch back to here and connecting the rest here. So we consider that this wiring is the farthest point of our electrical network. So we are going to select this area here, or we can, and also we can select it from the circuit groups as well. So we can move and select different places and deselect it from our measures. As you can see, again, we do this the same for the kitchen. And if we go back to our calculations and apply the changes from 62 meters, it went back to 50 meters. So it will affect as well our electrical circuit we defined in the schematics window. So now, let's say we would like, as I see we are running out of time, I'm going to quickly show you some other stuff, some other important things. I'm going to define some fire alarm zones. So I'm going to the fire alarm zones layers through the ground floor. And from the design here, I'm going to use the insert legends, and I'm going to use the architecture tools where I can draw spaces here. I'm going to define this space as zone 1. And start creating my fire alarm zone. As you can see, I created this selected area here as zone 1, and also the software calculated the area for this particular selection. For me, I can select this and go to the properties tab and also place some hatch in order to define it. And also I want the stairs to be in different zone. So I'm going to name it zone 2. And change the color for this particular zone. Let's select a green color. And also place some hatch as well. So you can see how quickly you can create different zone areas, calculate the area as well. And the importance here is we can also insert legends based on the zones we created. So if I go to the design tab here and select the insert legends and cable schedules, I can select the page spaces and zone legends and inserting by drawing a legend based on these fire alarm zones I created. So another thing that we can do the same thing, of course, for the other layers where we place some electrical symbols. We can create legends for these as well. So going back to the design, insert page symbols and wiring legends. We can do this for the lighting points as well. As you can see here, this information is defined based on the information that we provide in the symbols, where the legend description is used here for our legends. Another thing that let me just quickly do is we can create a list of materials by creating item codes by just selecting. Let me use the select similar function and select all together these socket elements. I can go to the properties tab and create an item code for this. I have already created some in the previous projects, so I'm going to define in this item code list here that these elements I selected are sockets and select OK. I can do the same for the other things as well. So for this fixed final circuit, I can select final circuit. The same for the fire alarm. Fire alarm panel. I can do the same for the isolator. Also for the double post switch. Let me also move back to the layer where our distribution board is placed and also create an item code for this distribution board. This earthing symbol. We can create one if we don't have, using by specifying here. I'm going to call it main earthing terminal. And select the plus button and select here. And also I'm going to select the meter as well. So now we managed to create some item codes for our symbols. So I just quickly selected few of them. We have we had placed in the small and power and systems layer. And I'm going to the list here, list of materials report. And if I just select this list of materials report, it will indicate me the item codes we just created, which this is very relevant in terms of keep track of how many things you have in your electrical network, in your electrical installation. Another thing that I would like to stress out is you can access this information. You can print out this information by going to the report tab. But before we move there, I would like to place some page frames. So I'm going to the electrical drawing here, and I'm going to select an A2 paper and place it, as you can see. And this title block, this information from the title block can be edited from the edit area here, where we can place the project information, the designer, you can place your company logo and so on. So we are not going to edit this information now. We're just quickly going to place some page frames for our report. As you can see, because I placed this one, and because all the external reference drawings are placed on top of each other, I can quickly move to the other layers and just select the page size and select insert, and the page frame will take the place for the previous page frame we already selected. So that's why we need to place each DIN-WG external reference on top of each other and coordinate them properly. I'm doing the same for the other. So I'm going to skip this from our print report because we haven't placed anything here. So we can select the layers we want to skip and select the skip print option. Okay. So also we don't want to see architectural drawings we included because we want to see them in the electrical diagrams. So now we managed to define the layers we included in the ground floor of this electrical diagram. So if we go to the report, also before we start printing some reports, I would like to illustrate to you, as we promised, the cable schedules. The cable schedules from, we can access it from the design tab here, and to insert legends and cable schedules, we can select this option here. And from the column list, we can select different information that we want to include in our cable schedules. This basically uses information from our electrical diagram, which is defined in the schematics window. We can select all circuits and all distribution boards, or only for the main DMB information. We are going to select all circuits for this case and select insert to plan drawing and properly place our cable schedules and arrange accordingly our page as well. In addition, we don't want to see, if we don't want to see these cable trays through our lighting points here, we can go back to the pages and select group layers and deselect this option from here. And as you can see, it disappears. We can only see it from here. We can do the same thing for the group, for the cable schedules for these small power final points here as well. So again, design, cable schedules, all circuits, like so. Now we can also go back to the schematic, place some frame for this schematic diagram. We can also include cable schedules as well for this one here, all circuits. I'm just doing it quickly because we already exceeded our time limit by almost 10 minutes. And also we can include some symbol legends as well. And from our report here, we can deselect everything and select plan drawings, schematic diagrams, and also we can select the plan list of materials we just managed to create and select generate. And as you can see, this report is automatically generated for us. We can, now I left the colors as black and white. Let me just quickly go back and change the colors, allow the colors to be printed as we define them. So we select all the symbols we include in our drawings, and we go to the properties tab, and from the printing options, we select yes to print wire colors. And let me just quickly do the same for this distribution board as well, and also for these lighting points. So if I go back to my report and select generate, I should see properly the colors as we define them in our diagrams, in our schematic diagrams, and in our drawings. And also we can see the fire alarm zones we managed to define. And also let me allow the cable trays. Perhaps I didn't select it. Yeah, I selected not to be printed. Yes, now we should see also the cable trays as well, with information of the length of the cable tray. We can also include a cover and content for this report if we want to hand it over to a client. Okay, at this point, we tried to illustrate some of the more advanced features of the CAD Plan Design. We didn't manage to complete our electrical diagrams here, our electrical drawings, but let me just quickly show you a completed project I have on my desktop, which illustrates how this project should look like. Just bear with me a minute. So here we can see the same project as the one we used for our example, although this one is completed. So if I go back to the CAD Plan Design and move to the different layers, we can see how we managed to do this. Again, we followed the similar logic as before. Also in this case, we placed some fire alarms together with our lighting points. Also, we managed to complete the first floor as well. As you can see, if I go to the lighting and fire alarms, we also placed the wiring of these lighting points the same way as we did in the ground floor. And we indicated with this wiring here that the wiring is extending all the way from the first floor to the ground floor by providing an extra length for this cable to indicate that it goes back to our distribution board as well. And also we managed to define properly our fire alarm zones for the ground and the first floor. And also the cable trays we use for the ground floor and the first floor as well. So I don't know, Spencer, if we have any questions we can answer up to this point.
The questions in the background. We'll have a few, but we're out of time mostly. Just a couple of questions I'd like to answer live. First one was when the webinar will be made available live on the YouTube. I would imagine it'll be before the end of the week. Usually we have quite a quick turnaround on that one. And the second one I've been asked is if they can get a copy of the practice project. Is it possible, could we load this project up onto the forum?
Yeah, let me just...
Yeah. So on the ModexSoft website, we have the ModexSoft forum. So if you would like to go to the ModexSoft forum, we will upload it there and you'll be able to download the project. And also be in a forum, you can ask any questions and post up any queries up there as well as you go.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, we can save this project and upload it on the forum. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I don't know if you would like to illustrate something specific. Of course.
No, there was one other question that did pop up, but somebody was asking about obviously changing the wattage for the various fittings. Wattages for circuits and various parts are just done directly from the circuit edit menu.
Yeah, but we already covered it in our first webinar. So let me just quickly illustrate this, but you can always visit our YouTube channel where you can find all our previous webinars there. So we go back to the schematic and we select a particular final circuit that we would like to edit. Let's say for this lighting circuit here, we double click on it and enter the circuit editor where we can adjust the watts of each lighting point here. Okay, is there any question, or we can wrap it up perhaps here?
I think we can wrap it up. I mean, we are running a bit over now, so but I think we managed to hit all the points that we were trying to cover in today's webinar. Sorry for all those that we ran over a bit there, but thank you very much all for bearing with us and taking the time to listen. Questions has popped up about how you can join the forum. Very simple. If you just go to the Modexoft website, there is a link to the forum page. You just sign up with an email address and you can log in at any time and put any questions up. And the guys in the technical, they'll be more than happy to answer the questions. And also there may be other users that you see on there that will also be happy to answer various questions and also provide tricks and tips for things that they've also been doing with the software. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for attending. I hope today's been quite informative. Like I said, hopefully we'll get this up onto YouTube before the end of the week, and it will be viewable for more to watch. And thank you very much everybody for taking the time to listen to us.
Thank you very much, everybody. And we hope we will see you in the next upcoming webinars as well. And keep safe and well in these difficult periods we all pass. So have a nice evening, everybody.
That's great. Thank you.